here in person or Zoom with us tonight? Am I too quick?
I think John just started recording.
Okay. So again, I just thank you all for being present with us tonight. And we're going to go ahead and start the meeting. Do we have any public comments?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we will move on to our building report. So, Dave, if I can have you share with us what has been going on in the last, since the last month, because we've had a lot of things taken care of over the summer, but there were a few odds and ends that were trying to wind up.
That's right. As I've shared before, the turf is all finished. The tracks are all been finished. The East Gym windows are done. The things that weren't finished were the roll-up doors for the dugouts and the press boxes and the softball dugouts at the Stag and Sandberg. Both of those have all been completed. The LED lighting retrofit, that is all but done. They're still working out a few of the bugs for programming some of the light switches and a few lights that aren't syncing like they're supposed to, but the contractor is still currently working on all three schools, but 95% of it is all locked in. Roof renovations have all been complete. Solar panels, phase one. We just had a meeting earlier in the week to finish out some of the stuff for the bidding. We still expect to go out to bid on the 24th of September. We'll hopefully have some bid results for building and finance to review on the 19th, so next month. That'd be great. Let's see here, the pool filter. We finally got all of our issues taken care of with that, and the inspector is coming out this week to get us certified, hopefully open up Stag's pool Thursday. That's, if all goes well, which hopefully it will. Security camera upgrades has all been completed. The installation of the iWave purification devices it's ongoing. We're working in almost all the classrooms are completed at Stag. Sandberg is still working on them, and then we've got some of the rooftop units done already at the schools, but that is still ongoing work. The security, then the drainage and repaving around Varsity baseball field. We had the contractor come out and look at it. He's working on drawings for Andrew's back repaving area and the drainage issue over at their baseball field. That's it for my current projects that are going on.
Okay, does anyone have any questions, or Dr. Gay, did you
I'm
want
sorry,
to say something?
real quickly, typically we do a tour of the building, but what we have today, later on, we have a virtual tour of Andrew. So each month we're going to do a virtual tour, the video, I guess.
Okay.
So with Andrew today, next month, one school, the next month, instead of, since we're not going to, we're going to do that. You will see some of the things that Dave talked about. Correct?
Yeah.
We're doing it at the end, is that maybe something?
That would be great.
I didn't know when we were doing that, so.
Let's do it at the end and.
Just like if we were doing our tour.
Exactly. This time we do have to, it's a short video, so we'll just.
Like 2.5 minutes, something like that, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Great, wonderful. We have nothing as far as maintenance and cleaning.
Cleaning's ongoing every day at the schools. There's nothing, it's constant. How's that? Nothing new to report, and when the kids get back, we'll make any changes on that. It's ongoing cleaning.
Okay. And it's going well with the students that we have in the building for Ultima programs and.
Yeah, yes, everything seems to be going well. It's not a whole lot of students, but it's it's hard to even notice people at the school. There's used to seeing so many kids, and now
We have about 160 students that were eligible, about 80 chose to come. I was at Sandberg Stag and Andrew last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The smiles on their faces, because that was by lunch. So they were able to have smiles on their face, because by lunch they were able to have their mask down. And they were so sweet, so happy. One young man at Andrew Sandberg was so excited because he got to see Baldy when he got off the bus. Baldy was there to greet him. He told me they were best friends now, and they were gonna. And at all three schools, the kids were excited. Staff was excited. It was just great to see some kids walking around, eating lunch, some normal things. And the place is doing well and keeping it clean, And, our goal, as you saw in some of the emails that went out today, our goal is to get back to 28 with stage 2. And I am confident Dave will, keep this happening.
Wonderful. We'll move on to the technology updates. Is that John Connolly that's going to share that with us?
I believe so.
Yes, it is. You guys can hear me all right, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Tara, do you mind if I share my screen? You mind stop sharing?
I think you got a hover up there at the top. I'll help you out, but I'm not supposed to walk over there.
You know what I can do? If you're not able to find it, I can boot you off, Tara. You want me to boot you off?
Everything technology.
Steve even tried helping, he didn't, we weren't successful.
All right.
Yeah, there I am.
If you guys can see my screen, I'm basically just wanted to give a annual technology update, typically in August or September, just to kind of go through how summer projects and how the school year has rolled out. So we opened up at the end of every school year rolling into the summer, we always talk about what are going to be our key goals. And actually, a lot of our goals have always stayed the same with infrastructure, Skyward and systems, digital learning, and professional development. So digital learning would be Chromebook deployment and all the systems that tie into that. And typically each year if we have staff laptops or a major project that's outside of this, it'll be called out. This year, of course, remote and hybrid learning rolling into the 2020-21 school year was kind of a fifth goal, but it's really kind of overarching across all four of our main goals. So that's kind of what our goals and all of our metrics that we determine our success as a tech department were based off of these 5 concepts. Just highlighting a few things that were significant this year, working with John Lavelle and our district leadership team. There was a CARES grant that I think everyone's familiar with, but a CARES grant provided us just over $800,000 as a district to spend in support of remote learning. So just to highlight a few things that we've leveraged with the CARES grant, we're standing up as of this week a virtual desktop environment. What that allows us to do is classes that use Adobe or Graphic Arts or CAD software, students will be able to access all of those systems from a Chromebook, which is typically web-based. It'll also allow us to have that environment for any staff member, whether or not it's a support staff or teacher for that matter, off-site would be able to access a lot of the D230 applications that are local by nature. So it's a pretty big undertaking, and CARES helped us purchase that environment. Google Enterprise Licensing, which has a lot of extra security features, but most importantly, Google Meet, it has additional features that are starting to roll out as soon as this week and will roll into October. Systems to highlight, we have a single sign-on portal called ClassLink that ties everything together. Screencastify is leveraged to create screen recordings. So when you think about a remote setting, a lot of our teachers want to record a video and kind of flip the classroom in some cases. There's a Padlet system and a Kami system that are both engagement platforms to further engage students when they're in the remote learning. I'm in partnership with Dr. Dreyer and Instructional Services, the Clear Residency Checker. This was a huge undertaking this year that really helped out with approving our families for residency and our annual residency without having without having parents having to come on site. So it was a win-win both from the parents' side and our guidance and school side. We have ESP Chromebooks that we had purchased with CARES grant. Those are actually, and for anyone in the tech world probably knows this, with COVID and all of the different things happening with manufacturing, those are still on back order. We're expecting to receive those in October, but we got lucky that our Chromebooks that we purchased for our freshmen this year, we jumped on that at the end of March. Districts that waited till April, they still have not received their student Chromebooks. So imagine having to start a school year and still not having student Chromebooks for our freshmen. So we got lucky, we jumped on that. But
There's quite a few out there with the Chromebooks I'm hearing. They're so back order. A lot of schools are in their third, fourth week, and students have no device at home.
That's right. There's no device. And in some cases, districts are getting such a runaround from the vendor with no estimated time of arrival that they're canceling and reordering with an additional 3 to 4 month lead time. So you're almost, I mean, some districts are going to go a whole semester without devices. So we're fortunate that we jumped on that. We kind of foresaw in March, we better jump on this because we don't know what's going to happen with that. We've also leveraged CARES for hotspots. We're working through with a lot of our students that are having some internet issues or don't have internet at home. That's what the hotspots are designed for. We were approved for a grant. What we're finding is that those devices, while they were awesome in the spring, they're some of the devices that we have are struggling to manage the video conferencing. So through that grant, there's another avenue that we just ordered, unlimited ones for students that truly don't have internet, and the devices that we had through the grant that are struggling with the bandwidth, those are going to likely work more as supplemental for families that might have internet, but it's not unlimited, or they're running into challenges as far as bandwidth. So CARES was huge. All of these components and systems have really kind of come together to help make this start of year really smooth. And I guess I jumped right into kind of different systems and all that, but just in general, reporting from a CTO standpoint, we always, at least for myself, but we're always looking for perfection, and you never get perfection, especially to start a year. But with remote learning, I think we were all preparing for, chaos in some cases, and just a whole new world of how's internet going to work at home? How are staff members that never done video conferencing, even with training, how are we going to get them up to speed? And our staff and students have been awesome. So the teachers, ESPs, administrators, students, I just can't say enough about them, because I don't know why it's going as smooth as it is. And the only thing I can point towards is, the teachers and students and the school leadership, along with our tech department and TIFs, our teacher technology trainers, everyone to just come together. And it's been a really, really awesome experience to see it. So I should have started with that, jumped into CARES. A few other things just wanted to highlight that I thought this committee would be interested in. Security camera system, as Dave Keating mentioned, a partnership that Dave and I have been working on with an engineering firm. But we went from basically 178 cameras district-wide to 531. The 178 we had were 8-year-old cameras. If you can imagine 8-year-old technology compared to what technology is now, that's how much better these cameras are that we have. So we did involve an engineer through an RFP process, competitive bidding. We're able to select the best vendor at the cheapest rate, and it was significantly like $400,000 cheaper than the next highest bid. So we installed those cameras. Their software was upgraded, both on saving money on licensing, but also just other bells and whistles. It's available on the web or mobile. It's not just a thick client. So all in all, security system project has went really well. So as I continue along, feel free to, if you need to stop me for any questions, feel free to let me know.
And I think that software that you mentioned, that's huge, because the ongoing cost, sometimes the total cost of ownership on these things can kill you if you don't look down the road. And you guys did a really good job of vetting the long-term costs of that software.
Yeah, thanks, John. You're exactly right. Like a lot of times the software with licensing, every time you add a new camera, it's a new license. So we were able to negotiate this software where it's unlimited licensing under an education package. So we're excited about that. There's going to be a phase 2 with, with any camera system. There's always a few spots here and there where once you get into the school year, you realize, oh, there's some other areas we want to cover. So we have only a few areas that we're targeting for a phase 2, which would be likely mid-year and into the winter. Laserfiche, we're really into, kind of moving into. We started to move into it again. We're fortunate the timing of all this because we started to move into digital forms about 2 years ago with a system called Laserfiche. Just some stats from last year. The amount of departments that are using this Laserfiche system, over 11,260 forms have been submitted as of last year. That included residencies, sub-requests, summer school program timesheets, medical, additional pay forms. But when you think about the fact that we got the ball rolling with this in the spring and into this year, you really don't want to be passing around papers or have to physically go anywhere. So we really kind of had a foundation in place to really ramp this up. And our numbers this school year will easily more than double the numbers from last year. But wanted to just make sure you guys were aware that we're really kind of moving in efficiencies with digital forms. And the next step with this is starting to look at, field trip request forms and all of the different forms that our students and parents have to take and sign and bring to school in a paper-based form. Copiers and printers, I thought you guys would be interested in this. So looking at last year, our print count went down. So 18-19, we were trending down. We were at about 20 million prints. Last year we were at 16 million. Total printer prints on the printer, we are going down 820 the 18-19. Last year was 600,000. Copier volume, so we always want most of our stuff to be in the copiers as opposed to the printers. That's a really high percentage, which is great. So overall, we decreased by 4 million, which is right around $15,000 savings. So we're hopeful that kind of as we move into this year and into future years, I think we'll probably hopefully see a bigger dip in prints just because of everyone going digital at the end of spring and into this year. Security. So I think security is such a big deal in technology. I thought it's good for this committee to be up to speed on this. It's our biggest threat across any district with technology is a security breach, whether that's a data breach or trying to take down our systems. In May last year, we send monthly email scams ourselves, which is basically their security drills to our staff. So we had 81 click at 8.5%. So that it fluctuates, but it's interesting. Our staff is getting used to it, and a lot of times we'll get information back that they're sending emails saying, "Hey, is this a scam or not?" Which is great to see that they're asking questions. We were getting down to about 2%, but the system we use, we can make them different levels of toughness. So a 5 is the toughest emails you can get. And our staff was getting so good at spotting these emails that we decided to put it at the toughest level. So we saw a little bit of a spike, and to be honest, it is a tough level. There's certain emails I get where I have to second guess myself, and I'm the one that's managing the system that sends them out. So, which is a good thing. We always want to be on our toes. I thought it would be interesting, the top 5 click templates. You can kind of see like how we trick people, but an email will come and say, you have a new voicemail message. So imagine yourself in that place where you're like, oh, I have a voicemail message. Someone's trying to get a hold of me. You want to click on that. You want to know what's in it. Second thing is an invitation from HR for a performance review. You see that and you're like, wow, HR has a performance review for me. I need to know who this is, and it comes from hr@d230.org. And so hopefully you guys don't think that that's mean that we do that, because that's what the bad guys will do. There was one healthcare info, one where it's a staff review, and then just notifications of upcoming payroll. So wait, I'm getting an email about my payroll. I need to know what that is. So there's a lot of, now that we're at this level, we're just really kind of trying to test our staff to get us that good with security. Okay, help desk stats. Just want to show you guys, just looking at year to year for our tech help desk, we went from basically, we'll do the total 5,400 to 5,600 to 6,300 last year. This is going to be significantly more this year, especially since we've opened up to parents and students. So our tech staff is extremely busy, along with our teacher technology innovation facilitators. So can't share with you guys enough. I'm sure you guys can imagine how busy our staff is. And they're an awesome group of folks that are doing really well. Last but not least, just wanted to make sure that a lot of times when I come to this committee and talk about talk about projects, a lot of times they're tied to E-rate. E-rate's the federal program that gives us a rebate on large projects like infrastructure. So for example, we're going to be looking to replace our wireless system next summer. We get 50% discount on that. So let's just say the wireless system costs us $800,000 to replace. We pay $800,000 from our funds, and I work with John Lavelle to budget for that. And then the following year, the federal E-rate program would pay us $400,000 back. So I work with Tara on that also. But just looking at the dispersed across these years. So since I started at the district, just how we're looking at that in Category 2 has been new, but we've had over $1.1 million in rebate coming back from the federal government. So it's been a great way to drop our costs down. Not every district takes advantage of this like we do. So I think it's great. It's something that we're pretty proud of on the funding front. So that kind of, I'm going to stop my share here. So Terry, you can go back to share your screen, but if there's any questions or feedback on the technology front or questions, I'm open to any feedback.
I'll go here. So a question, you mentioned that the staff, they are tested with some of the emails that are sent to them to see if they respond appropriately to it. But a question I had was, have you seen an increase in the students receiving some of these malicious emails? Are there any records that indicate that students may also be targeted for these malicious emails?
Yeah, so it's a good question. On our radar is expanding that system to our students to help educate them. What our target on that would be, more so to prepare them on their personal accounts and as they go to their next phase outside of District 230, to make sure that they're not targets of breaches and or malicious activities. So it's more on the education front. I'm not as concerned on the breach front because students don't have access to sensitive data across outside of just their standard, their information for themselves. They also don't have access to where there's any payroll or anything else tied to that. But that is on our radar. That's our next phase, mainly to better educate our students of these scams that are going on. That being said, we don't see as many scams going to the student emails because they don't have access to stuff that'll make the bad guys money. Good question.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Any other questions for John?
Nope.
Well, John, thank you very much for sharing that with us, and it was good to see those numbers. You always project that we're going to save money, and when we actually get to see those numbers in savings, it's feel good. And feel very fortunate for our district to be where we are with technology. The timing is perfect, and we thank you and your staff for all the hard work that you guys have put in so we can have the remote learning and have the actual Chromebooks in place. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
So if there's no questions on that, we'll go ahead and move into the finance part of our meeting, and we'll talk about the treasurer's report.
All right, you can,
John Lavelle.
yeah, you can see on page 8 of your packet, it's also on the screen here, the treasurer's report for the month of August. And you can see that, you know, local revenues have picked up and we're seeing an increase now in our fund balance. Of course, that'll be temporary as taxes are received and then eventually slow down again in between tax cycles. But yeah, as we get into page 9 then and look at specifically what's going on with local property taxes, the very first line, 10R1, receipts local taxes, you can see that we are still tracking, what is that, about $7 million less, you know, than we were the previous year. About a 15% decrease in that, and that is a timing thing, primarily due to penalty forgiveness for late payments and so on. So we have seen it, you know, it was worse last month, it's picking up, and we anticipate that it will catch up, and we'll keep an eye on that as we see each of these months unfold. So more to come on that. The state, you can see we're up, you know, doing well there, as well as the federal government money. Both of those are, you know, higher than they were last year. And again, we don't have percentages of budget to compare to here yet because we don't have a budget, which is another thing we'll be talking about tonight, the final budget. And then we'll go back to the other format once we have it in place, maybe as early as next month. We'll see how, yeah, it should be next month. So that's the ed, you know, the ed fund. If you go just down to 14R, that is also a subcategory of our ed fund, which is our special ed. And you can see a lot more federal money coming in, and we'll tell that story a little bit more when we go over the budget later on. But you can see it's nearly double, and I know Tara's been working very hard with instructional services, trying to accelerate the, you know, the receipt of those funds and maximize the amount of those funds, and she's been doing a great job working with the staff and instructional services to get that going, and it's really showing up here in some early receipts. Charles Avando is doing a tremendous job getting, I think he got a big group of expenditure reports through today that Tara approved, and I think Dr. Gay may have approved today, I don't know. I'll put it on your list of things to do tomorrow morning. So there's a group of those going through right now, so we'll see some more of that coming through. O&M, you know, when you compare, you know, the 3 columns to the right to the 3 columns to the left, you do see some numbers there, big numbers, $1.5 million, and state funds, $23.4 million. And of course, that's our, that was our bond issue last year, and you're not going to, obviously, we won't see that again this year. So there's some anomalies there with all of the bond issue and transfers that took place. Under expenditures, there, you know, things are tracking pretty good. You know, the next one is our debt service, which is kind of just runs itself. We don't have to do much there, but plug numbers into the budget and pay the payments. Transportation is tracking pretty good. Looks like, you know, local, again, is trailing a little bit over last year compared to last year, but again, we anticipate that to pick up. So those are kind of the major funds. You can see under site and construction, some activity starting up there. Once you see the budget numbers in there, and again, when we review the budget, people are going to be doing, planning to do approximately $14 million of projects over the next 12 months, 8 months. So you'll see a big number there for finishing the payment of things that have just been completed, and also, gearing up the solar, what else did we talk about?
In the Sandburg baseball.
Yeah, baseball field and so on. So we've still got a number of projects in the works. And that's pretty much that. Any questions on that? All right. Then the next section is, again, part of our financial reports, and it's our investments. I just bring your attention again to page 13. Can you go to that? Yeah, right there again. We just kind of monitor the average portfolio yield. And you can see we're a little over 0.5%, about 0.577, with weighted average portfolio maturity of 117 days. So we're shortening up. Things are maturing. We're seeing some of the lower rates coming on now. Not too many opportunities, even long-term, for investment. So we're likely to see the average length to maturity shortening, and the return on investments, reducing as well, unfortunately. And we have built that into the budget as well, that we're not anticipating the, well over $1 million of interest that we received last year. Again, the next page 15 is the what's that? Oh, the bonds. Okay. The bond funds. Yes, and so you can see, since we just got those funds. Where's the? Oh, I thought we had. Oh, what was I looking at? Okay.
It looks like it's twice.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so the bonds are, they're out 309 days at a lower return on investment, because we just received them, and those were the rates available. So that was the best we could do on those. And then, what I was starting to look at was page 15, was our long-term portfolio, which continues to do well. And I think page 18, we have a Fifth Third investment that we're getting, I think, a decent rate on. So, any questions on the investments or financials?
John, with the CD rates down, and probably for the long term, being down, do we have the ability, if we wanted to take some of those funds as they mature and put them with PMA as opposed to reinvesting in CDs, or do we have to put them back?
Put them in a money market or max account or something?
They do. They already do that. The investments at PMA already are in the max account. If you look here, if you go to the first page of the investments here,
Yeah,
at the top here, this max account,
okay,
as you can see, that's got the bulk of the money.
all right,
Again, anticipating our needs for payroll and our monthly bills.
okay.
They have all the investments staggered, so as they mature, we liquidate funds, but your, Bank of China, that's getting a little bit higher, it's just not good.
Well, there's really nothing out there, and the, we keep looking at the longer term, half a year, and there's no sense in tying it up there. It can't go much lower.
No.
So,
Well,
when we have to start paying money for them to hold it for us, that'll be bad.
I'll offer my mattress.
okay.
Oh.
That's where we're at.
So if there's no questions about the finances, then we can move on to the fiscal year 21 final budget review.
Yes, so we've added this to the packet, so, you can see it, online. We also have, hard copies on the table over here of some, some final budget, state forms, which is 50-some pages or something like that, or 30-some pages long, but if anyone is interested in grabbing one of those, and digging into it a little bit more deeply and generating any specific questions, I'm certainly willing to, to answer any of those questions. But overall, the budget, the good news is that the budget is balanced. As you could see in our financials, salaries to date are lower than they were last year. Benefits to date are lower than they were last year, and we're seeing that this was not as hard a job of balancing this budget as we had anticipated. We also had a couple of new revenue sources, $895,000 from the CARES grant, $100,000 in FEMA, money for emergency cleaning and PPE. I mentioned earlier the Title I money, $750,000 additional there. And then, of course, some of the other revenue sources are a little bit higher as well. State funding is flat. We're not anticipating additional state funds. And we did, as I had mentioned at the last meeting, we did add contingency funds. It's a function code 6000 for all three funds, 10, 20, and 40, which is our education fund, O&M, and transportation funds. So if anything unexpected happens during the course of the year, we would be coming to you and asking permission to move some of those funds from the 6000 function code over to the account that it's needed in. And we'd give you an explanation of why that was necessary. But that's something we haven't used to a great extent in past years, but we felt it was prudent to do it this year with all of what's going on. Yeah, I believe it is 175,000, right, the contingency. Yep. Yeah. So as we get into this slide that Tara has on the screen now, you can see the first four columns are what we refer to as our operating funds. These are places where we pay for salaries, services, the everyday items. If you go beyond the first blue column and you look at debt service, capital projects, those are cyclical. When we have money in the capital projects fund, such as we have now from a bond issue, we're going to be spending those monies down while we're not receiving any new money. So you're going to always have a deficit there or a surplus, depending on if you're refilling it or you're emptying it. So right now we're emptying it. You're going to see about a $14 million deficit in that fund. And same with debt service, just depending upon tax receipts and the payment of our debt service payments, you could see a deficit there, and we do see one, which we do have. The first interest payment on the $22 million was expected to be paid from working cash proceeds, and so we have $380,120 that we're going to be transferring from working cash to cover that first interest payment. So that's part of what that $439,000 deficit is. And then working cash is, again, kind of our account that we can borrow from ourselves in the event of a cash shortfall. So we have a nice reserve there that builds up over the years. Life safety, we don't currently use. We don't have any life safety projects identified that need to be addressed. And I don't know, when is our next life safety survey? I believe that's coming up next year. Yeah, so that'll involve hiring the architects who will take a look at all of our buildings, identify any dangerous situations or standards that have changed or different things that need to be addressed. And we'll have a list of projects typically categorized A, B, and C, I believe it is, you know, things that need to be taken care of immediately, things that have 6 years to take care of, so
Prioritize.
prioritized, yeah.
And with the life safety, being that we did the security audit, we may have already checked off a bunch of boxes that they might
Hopefully.
have found.
Yeah.
Have we not done that?
As well as roofing stuff we're doing, you know, there's a lot of things we've done that we try to anticipate.
Right.
But they always try to find something.
Oh, yeah.
We've done some life safety stuff done not too long either with, the planters in front of the school.
Yeah.
That was part of our life
Which is part of
safety.
that security audit.
Really, actually, we added that ourselves.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's something that, I saw, and I was like, oh, that's right.
So going back to the first 4 columns, which are really the ones that I think boards should focus on, because if you have a structural deficit, this is where it's gonna show up. We're showing that first blue column, if you follow that all the way down the page to the yellow highlighted line, you can see we have $106,721 surplus. And again, that includes the $175,000 in contingency, and also, as you'll see in any year, we always try to hit a number that's slightly above what we'll actually realize in expenditures. Or I mean, rather, you know, the amount budgeted is going to be a little bit higher than we anticipate spending in the expenditures, and then on the revenue side, we always are conservative there too, because we don't want to over predict what we're going to get. So, you know, with any luck, we'll get a little bit more and we'll spend a little less, and so it'll even be a little bit better than it looks here. But the other thing you'll see, if you follow just below that yellow line, there's a $500,000 transfer reflected there. And that is you can see that the education fund had about a $464,000 deficit. We're taking, because of the fund balance to expense ratio in the transportation fund, which was better than the ed fund, we're taking money from the transportation fund and balancing it out to cover that deficit in ed fund and create one actually in transportation intentionally to bring that fund balance down a little bit. So it just kind of brings the funds in line more with, you know, to be more comparable with our overall fund ratio, which right now is, with working cash is about, without working cash it's just about 38%. We have about 38% in reserves. So if you think of that as a portion of a year, we have about 38% of a year that we could go without receiving any revenue from any sources, without going below zero or having to borrow or whatever. So and then if you throw working cash in there, that goes up to 54%. So about half a year of funds, in reserves, which is. We don't want to be a lot higher than that. You don't want to be holding on to a lot of money, a lot of extra money, but in these times, it's prudent to have a reserve and be prepared for the worst, so.
Sure feels good to have a reserve.
Yeah.
I just really congratulate the business department too, and then everybody to be able to come up with a balanced budget today, with everything that's going on, nationwide, I guess you want to even say. We're involved in the state sometimes, but nationwide, maybe even worldwide, it's a small surplus, but that's what you want to do too. You don't want to be over too much, but to have that surplus at the end and to have that cushion in the event that the state has some difficulty down the road. It's great to go these many years with a balanced budget.
And we're meeting, the reserve is meeting the guidelines the state,
Yeah, yeah.
proposes, so that's always a good thing as well.
Right, you're 100% correct.
I mean, there's districts, in Illinois that are borrowing money to make payroll, and you've got others that have over 100% reserves, which they start to get a little pressure from the taxpayers when they have over 100% reserves, and you don't want people finding reasons to spend money. So, I think we're right where we want to be. Yeah, we're right where we want to be with that.
And I think it's important to when we look at this budget, to also look at the fact that a lot of the ramifications for where we are now was based upon things that we've done years ago to get us to this point. Change in some of the benefits that we've offered have impacted benefit cost, and the 25-year plan, got us to the bond issue at a low interest rate, which didn't require us to go get funds somewhere else, and a lot of other things like that. So
Even our wellness initiative, which was part of our negotiation, I mean, 90-some% of our staff are getting their blood taken every year and finding out if they've got high blood pressure or high cholesterol or any kind of problem that they need to, to address with medication and avoid the high costs associated. So, a lot of people undersell that because it's so hard to do a return on investment on something like that. But I do think that's part of what's showing dividends here, as well as a consumer-driven healthcare plan, our HSA, which, when you're spending your own money, it's a little different than when you're spending your employer's money. I mean, let's face it, if it's going to come out of your bank account because it's your money forever and ever, even when you leave us, you're going to think twice about maybe that emergency room visit that, maybe just go to an immediate care, make a little bit financially wiser choice, which saves all of us money in the end.
I also think that this committee for a number of years has been willing to accept savings of small amounts, 15,000 here, 45,000 here, just making nothing in the copy machine, saving 15,000. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go right ahead. I was gonna say the same thing that we talked about, small savings, but they add up. A couple small savings takes care of a teacher's salary.
Right. I mean, just like the E-rate or different things that we've done, we said, let's try to go for this, try it. And say, if there's only 20, 30,000, you think of a $150 million budget, you think, oh, why do that? You say no to that 10 times, it's $500,000, So I applaud the committee to say, let's try it. Let's, tighten the belt a little bit. And it's not like it's hurting the system,
This month, we actually just opened up a new program, some of you may have heard of it, Livongo, where they provide for individuals who have diabetes or pre-diabetic, and also for high blood pressure, blood pressure cuff or testing strips in a device that goes through Wi-Fi and communicates with life coaches who help people with their condition. And I think we had 9 people already sign up for the program. We just opened it up. So that again will show dividends when, people get these things under control rather than wind up in the hospital.
good stuff.
Any other questions or comments?
I guess the only thing is we just, Governor Pritzker.
Okay.
Today saying, I think finally woke up and understand that there's a disaster in the state.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've heard of it. I heard. Yeah, it's pretty. I think we just need to watch it.
Yeah.
Carefully. Recognize we have a disaster here.
Yeah. Well, on that point, if I can connect it with the financing, but it's the state. John talked about the evidence-based model. That's how we get our money now. Remember we used to be different ways of getting it. The evidence-based model, they're supposed to put $350 million in it. Over 10 years, you get to $3.5 billion, whatever. And they're supposed to put $50 million into it. They're not, but they are keeping us hold harmless. So we are hold harmless, and for us, that's okay, because we're never in a good. Yeah, we're never those districts are getting a lot anyway. That makes sense. We're that within that 0.03%. consider that category. You know, so being held harmless is really positive.
Right, for us, but other districts that aren't getting that infusion of new cash, you know, they put things into motion based on this promise.
Yes.
And now they may be looking at staff cuts, they may be looking at, you know,
It is happening, and even in the South Cook area that I'm a part of, there are that, because there was that expectation. But I think what we've done, we've never, not to be disrespectful, we never expected to get more from the state. We just expected, we'll get what we got last year, we'll be very happy. If we get extra, oh my gosh, that's pretty cool. We got some extra money. We just never budgeted that way because we never felt comfortable that they would pan out. Does that make sense? So I think we budgeted, so for us, correct me if I'm wrong, John, hold harmless isn't hurting us at all.
we're happy to, you know, not see a reduction.
Correct, because that was the other option. So I just wanted to share that, Mrs. Dalton, that's an important piece, I think.
Is that, the gist of the state financing update?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear something today, I listen to them all the time, but I'll get the message tomorrow, we get sometimes an update from our local, ISA. Yeah, I mean, I think we're watching closely, we're not political, but we, you know, not making partisan, we're watching some of the bills that are, or some of the laws are, I don't know the right word, the ballot, things on the ballot coming in November. You know, we're watching some of that for our area as well, and the veto session that's coming up in November, December, which we're, I just shared last month, I'm pretty confident, it's gonna be very brief, because nothing was vetoed. So, so we're thinking that there may be some other things coming up in the veto session that is gonna be, one of the things is that, they were talking about an ethics commission to start. See if that happens in Springfield and how that will trickle down. So,
Sure, that'll clean things up.
yeah, so we haven't, it's weird, we haven't gone down there, I would've been down there a couple of times already, but they're not really meeting in session, and if they are, they're not visitors, and so we're doing things through electronic, it's just weird. Not that I love going to Springfield, but sometimes I like to make sure that we're heard, and you wonder if you're heard in these kind of settings, you know?
Right.
So, anyway, but our lobbyist, or our legislative liaison, Diagnos, she's been down there and she's working.
Okay, great. Thank you. We have nothing under insurance, so we'll move on to transportation.
Yeah, and there's, you know, not a whole lot, to report other than, you know, it's been, with the small population we're transporting, it's been smooth. We did get, at the last board meeting, agreements signed, with our carriers. They're staged to help, take us to the next level. And, you know, we're ready, so.
Right, and our buses are ready when the event, we move to stage 2, which we're looking to do very soon. We put an email, I'll call that one out today. I think when it's like I was addicted to watching the survey, the numbers jump in front of me. I think earlier today we had 3,000 respondents, and when I came up here, we're almost at 6,500. So it's really good to get us where we want. I don't know the final numbers we'll probably end about 73% want to come, you know, on site. I think we'll land somewhere around there, 78, 74%, which is healthy, and which is cool. So, John is confident the buses are ready, schools are ready, principals are ready, we're ready. We've had a great, Mrs. Dalton asked earlier, we had a great week and a half of our specialized students on campus. We're excited, ready, willing, and it's a parent choice at all times. So it's still parents' choice to bring kids on campus. So we're not mandating that. I want to make that very clear. Sometimes there's misunderstanding out there. Just because we're moving to stage 2, it's still parents' choice.
Okay.
But we're ready.
We are.
Any questions on transportation? I think, it was pretty general there. So then I think, we'll be able to, move on to our projects virtual tour for those, that would like to stay on with us.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sue, we had a walk-in here, some, policies.
Oh, policies,
That's what
right.
I call it. Yeah, there's.
No, I gave them to Sue.
Yeah, there's copies here if anybody didn't get them. So, those should be on the screen for those of you on the phone. I don't know,
Yeah, there's probably just generic policy coming from the state. Remember last month we caught up? Since then, we're already working on new ones. These are all legal advice because the new Title IX that was passed in Springfield, through Title IX, and through that is some of the, professional development. They're going to go to the board for first reading. They'll be brought back here in October for second reading, and then the board in October. So plenty of time to look at them. They're just gonna, these are all dealing with Title IX requirements.
Okay, so these are gonna be back in our building and finance packet next month.
Ma'am, we'll be in your packet in October, and then, yeah. So John Conley, are you controlling this? Oh, wow. No, I don't have it.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to our virtual tour at Andrew High School.
Reese McIntyre is the digital media coordinator. He, went to the schools, he got his drone out, so we're able to see probably a lot of the stuff we wouldn't be able to do if we were there, seeing the football field at night, seeing the rooftop, and get a really nice view of the roof work was done with drones, and then, you get some shots of the inside of the school and a couple of interviews with, staff, so they can explain what's happening at the school.
Start from the beginning.
Ready? Did I turn right?
Nashville playthrough.
Okay.
We get that go.
Oh, do I have to maybe turn the
You see
volume
the little
up?
blue thing? Can you slide that over?
Here, let me see where the,
See this right here.
Sarah, when you had shared your screen,
yes, I hit that,
you clicked it, okay.
but the video itself volume, there we go. Nope.
Around the numerals, as well as we colored the end zones.
Probably halfway through now. Good. All right. Quick move. All right.
As the dean, one of the most important features that we have added on over the summer is that we have had over 150 cameras added both internally and externally. This is meant not only to deter behaviors, but also to improve campus safety.
I'm here to talk about the new roof and the lighting that was installed in the classrooms. All the classrooms in the north building were retrofitted from fluorescent to LED lighting with motion control sensors. It makes it easier for the teachers to dim down a room if they want to use an LCD projector, and if there's any inactivity, the lights turn themselves off. The roof is a brand new membrane that was installed on the south building only. All the roofs were repaired previously, and a coating of a white membrane was installed over that to seal the south building.
We're super excited about the renovations to our stadium, field, and track. We started the process last year together with my colleagues at Sandberg and Stagg. Surpassed all our expectations. It looks amazing out there. We added a lot of color around the numerals, as well as we colored the end zones. We included our lacrosse lines finally for lacrosse out there. The track looks great. It's so soft. We had our football team out there the other day training on there. They loved it. It looks amazing. It's so fresh, so new, and it's going to be just really exciting to host our first football game and soccer game later this year.
We've been working on beautification projects here at Andrew High School for a lot of years, and this year we're especially excited about one that we've done on our second floor. It is a mural of all kinds of students, representative of our entire student body, doing the things that they love best: sports, classroom, activities, clubs, being together, service projects, you name it, it's on the mural. We're excited to have it, and it was actually donated by the class of 2020. And it also aligns with one of our equity team goals for this year, which is making sure that the physical plant of the building is more representative of our entire student body. And we think it does just that.
Great, because there's a stand like that Andrew's here, and it's kind of cool to see the record, so it's official. Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like it was phony.
It's nice to see it from above.
You get to see something, like I said, we would even return to our, Andrew, we wouldn't want to, yeah, we don't want to.
This actually worked out very well. Thank you, and thank you for those who helped work and put together for us. And unless there's any comments or questions at this time, we will adjourn. I don't hear anything, so we're going to adjourn. Just let you know our next meeting is October 19th at 7 p.m. and it will be the same type of situation, so you'll have the opportunity to do it from home like we did today. So again, thank you very much for your time and your input. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.